Yee! Hey guys, Tiffany here, and I'm the owner of Tiffany Gordon Cosplay LLC, which is a company that focuses on costume and prop fabrication, as well as education. And welcome to my community. I would love to have you as part of the cosplay building community, so subscribe to the channel and also like the video. On today's cosplay tutorial, I'm gonna be going over how to make your very own Hilichurl mask, specifically the Pyro one from Genshin Impact. So let's get started. And here are all the tools and materials that you will need for making your own mask, including the 2, 4, and 10mm HD foam, and I'll have links to all of this in the video description. As well as the 2D pattern that we're going to be using for this mask is available on my website, TiffanyGordonCosplay.com, again, link in the description. And to first start off, we're going to talk about the mask portion, and this and the pattern are parts A through D, and you will want to trace these onto 4mm HD foam, and then with a heat gun, we're going to heat the foam up and then cut it out with an X-Acto knife. And the adhesive we're going to be using for attaching all these pieces together throughout the tutorial is contact cement glue. And for this, we're going to be applying it to the edges of this mask. You will let it fully dry onto both parts that you want to attach, and then we will start to attach them together. And if you've been following my other Hilichurl tutorials, this one is going to be different, as I recommend that you attach these starting from the bottom this time. And we're going to be doing this for A and B, attaching from the bottom to the top. Same with C and D. Then you're going to attach those two pieces together in the center where B and C align. Then onto our face details of the flame. And for this one, we're going to be tracing it onto 2mm HD foam. Again, heat treat it and cut it out with an X-Acto knife. Then for getting the placement onto our 4mm foam, the mask portion, I ended up taping on top my paper template. And then with a Sharpie, I kind of did some tack marks to all of the points. This would give me a rough estimate of where to put the 2mm foam on top, tape it in place, and then trace it to get my actual marks of where I wanted the piece to go. And next we're going to be applying our contact cement glue. And well, normally I recommend only applying your glue to where the actual pieces are going to attach together, but in this case, the foam parts are, when they attach to the bottom part, they're gonna lay really close together. So I just ended up gluing the main area, and the only reason I say not to do this in certain cases is because the contact cement glue, when it dries, will leave a slight textured surface. But it's so close together, you're not really gonna notice it. And then once the glue was dry on both sides, you can attach it together. The last step for this part is to go to your sanding bench, grab your Dremel and your sanding drum, and round out all the edges so they are no longer sharp. Now for the horns. And for this one, we're going to be tracing our pattern onto 10mm HD foam 4 times. Then once again, heat treat your foam with a heat gun, followed by cutting it out with a box cutter. Next, we're going to make those 4 horns into 2 by gluing them together using contact cement glue. And I wanted these horns to be more rounded, so instead of just going straight to my sanding bench, I first got my box cutter and kind of carved around the edges. This will make it so when we do go to the sanding bench and we sand all of these with a sanding drum, it'll be a lot less messy and you won't have as much foam dust in the air. And I want these pieces not to just protrude randomly out of the mask, so I did end up about 3/4 of an inch away from the base of each of these on the back, with the box cutter cutting it at a 45, and this gave me the perfect angle to attach the horns onto the mask. And that is the fabrication part of this Hilichurl mask. Now let's do the painting. And here are all the tools and materials I used for painting this mask. And as always, you don't have to use an airbrush gun and an airbrush compressor. You can always hand paint this using acrylic paints and a paintbrush. First step is you're going to want to prime your piece, and we're going to be using Plasti-Dip. For this, you're going to want to spray this rubber spray paint on top of both the top half of the mask as well as to the underside. We're going to do this for 3 heavy coats onto it, and you will want to wait at least an hour in between each coat. And after that was all dry, it is time for painting, and we're going to be using airbrush paint that was provided by Cretex Colors, as well as my airbrush gun, which was provided by Iwata Airbrush. Starting off with our base coat onto the piece, which is going to be Wicked Cream. Then after, we're gonna be doing Pyro Red, which is actually gonna be the color of the lines onto this mask. And for those lines, I got my templates and I kind of cut out little circles to kind of give me a guideline of where I wanted to put my masking tape. And for my masking tape, I didn't have thin enough pieces, so I just got an X-Acto knife and cut them the width that I wanted, and then placed it on top of the mask onto the horns where I wanted to block off all of the next layers of airbrush paint. Now to make the mask a little bit darker, and for this we're going to be doing a mixture of crimson and jet black. But for this step, we're not actually going to be applying it to the entire mask. We're only going to be applying it onto the horns, and then we're going to be doing a halo around the outer part of the mask section, leaving the innermost spot onto the flame, not having any of this darker paint color. And this is going to give it a natural glow from underneath the flame. And after that was dry, it was time to remove all of our masking tape lines, and this is going to show you our undercolor, which was the red, and also it gave me a little bit of time to go back and do a tiny bit of touch-ups where some of the paint came under the tape. Then I used some masking tape and paper to mask off all of our painted section, leaving the flame exposed. And the last airbrush color we're going to be using is Hansa Yellow onto the rest of our flame. Then just remove all of your masking tape and paper, and for the final step, we need to seal our piece so that way all of our color holds in place and is protected from the sun. And we're going to be using UV-LS sealer, specifically the satin one, applying an even coat onto both the top and the bottom part of the mask. And then this will be our completion of the Pyro Helitroll mask. And that, guys, is how to make your very own Helitroll mask, the Pyro one from Genshin Impact. And I hope you found this video helpful for making your very own one. And if so, I'd love to hear from you, so let me know in the comments, as well as don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. A big thank you to all of my company sponsors here on YouTube, as well as all of my YouTube members who financially help to support me so I can continue bringing you more cosplay tutorials as my full-time job and my main source of income. And I will see you for our next cosplay tutorial. Much love, guys.